we just want to welcome you here for worship this morning. We have a special speaker for you this morning. He is from Mount Rubidoux Church. His name is Pastor, did they call you Pastor Kyle? Pastor Kyle. He is a giant of a man, a gentle giant of a man. Really appreciate his love for Jesus. And just put your hands together for Pastor Kyle, everybody.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah? I think you guys can hear me in person. It is good to be with you guys. Good to see your smiling faces, even behind the mask, you know, the wrinkles around our eyes when we smile. It's really good to be with you guys this Friday morning. Now, I'll just open up with a quick word of prayer and we'll jump in, because I think after this you guys are on break officially, right? Yeah, so I know that I was ready to enjoy my Thanksgiving break when I was in your place. Dear Lord, thank you so much for Thanksgiving and everything that it represents. I pray that you please be with us this afternoon and with all the kids over their break. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Now, Thanksgiving and the holiday seasons is just like one of my favorite times of year. I would enjoy, most importantly, the break that you would get when you're in school, but just spending time with family, all the good food that you get to eat, the gifts that you get during Christmas, and just all the holiday traditions that you get to make around this time of year. But I know that this year has been a little bit crazy. I don't know if anyone had imagined that we'd be wearing face masks in November or that we'd have to be socially distanced when this year started. But 2020 has really thrown all of us for a loop. I know I was just talking to your PE teacher that you guys haven't been able to play sports in person. I guess you're just doing fitness classes, and I know that that is quite a bummer, or you're not able to sit close to your friends as much anymore. I see 4 people at a table. But even though 2020 has been a crazy year, I think that God has still given us something to celebrate. And so today, I just would like to quickly look at one story in the New Testament of how Jesus celebrated a ceremony, and then I would like to take just a few points from that I think we can apply to our lives today. So in the New Testament, right before Christ is about to go to the crucifixion, they celebrate the Passover meal. Does anyone know what the Passover celebrates? Anyone know what Passover means or what they celebrate it for? No? Okay, no guesses?
Bible class.
No guesses?
We don't remember it at all. It's when the angel passed over a bunch of houses.
Yes. So, okay, perfect. So Passover, what they're doing with Passover, they're celebrating when God was getting them out of Egypt after they'd been in there for bondage for over 400 years, and the angel was coming over the doorpost, and so he passed over their houses and saved them. And so Jesus and the disciples are celebrating this meal. The text that I'm drawing from is Luke chapter 22, and 3 points that I just want to highlight from this story. So in the text it says, "And he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, 'This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.'" Now, I know that this text, usually we read it around communion time, but I think it also can apply to Thanksgiving, because Jesus is telling us to give thanks. And the first point is that we can still celebrate during difficult times. Right now, Christ was in probably the most stressful week of his life. He was about to go to the cross. He was going to go through all the punishment beforehand. His disciples were going to scatter and run away from him. One of his disciples, Judas, was just about to betray him after this meal. But Jesus still found the time, the energy, the wherewithal to celebrate this meal, remembering what God had done for them in the past. And so I just want to encourage you guys that even though this year has been tough for many of us, so many of us have lost so much over the course of this year, I still want to encourage you to celebrate during the difficult times, to look back at the positive things that you've experienced and take hold and hope in God for your future. The next point that I'd like to bring up is that you can still enjoy Thanksgiving even in the company of a small group of people. When we look at the New Testament, we can see that Jesus is he's never one to shy away from the crowds. When he would be walking through the marketplace, there'd be thousands of people around him trying to touch him, trying to reach at him. We can see that Jesus likes to eat and celebrate, so he was feeding 4,000 and 5,000 people on the countryside. He was at this huge wedding where he had his first miracle. He'd go over to the Pharisees' houses. God loved to party, and he loved a great big celebration. But for the Passover, it's just 13 people. Just 13 people, much different than a lot of the other meals that we see Jesus celebrating. And the same way, this year, our Thanksgiving tables may look a little different than normal. You may not have all your aunts and uncles over there, or maybe your grandparents are zooming in this year instead of being there with you in person. But even though this dinner, this Passover meal that Christ is celebrating looks a little bit different, and it doesn't have as many people as he would normally have when he's celebrating, I think there's an important reason why God had it just to be those 13. And it was a very intimate setting. He was able to talk to those his disciples in a way that he may not have been able to if there was a larger crowd. And so this year, when you're celebrating Thanksgiving and things look a little bit different and not everyone is there as you would like, take that as an opportunity to really cherish those that are closest to you. To look at how intimate this setting can be, and even though we've early in the year we were living at home with our parents all day every day, and it may have been tough and we may have gotten on each other's nerves, like look past all of that and just remember all the good things and how grateful it is to still have our parents around, just to be have a roof over our head. And then the last point that I'd like to bring up is that I am thankful looking at this meal because Christ promises that there's going to be one huge Thanksgiving feast when he returns. Now we know in the text, in Luke chapter 22, verse 18, he says that he is not going to partake in this drink and this dinner again until he returns. And so even though this year looks different and, over the course of time we lose family members or people move away, God is promising that soon and very soon there's going to be a huge feast where all of us are going to be able to gather around with one another. We're not going to have to wear masks. We're not going to have to be separated. We're going to be able to enjoy the celebration feast because of what God has done in our lives. So I hope those 3 points can carry you during this Thanksgiving season. And just remember that there is still so much to be thankful for, even in the midst of loss. So with that, I'll pray. And I'll pray over the food as... Oh, you'll pray?
No, you pray.
Oh, okay. Dear Lord, thank you so much for just everything that this Thanksgiving season represents. I thank you that you give us so much to be thankful for. I know that we can look at our current situation and be sad or despondent, and that's understandable. I don't want to negate those feelings. But I also want to encourage myself and the teachers and staff and students here that even when the clouds look dark around us, that we can still find something to smile about. And one of the things that I love to smile about is knowing that your presence is with us, even when others may not be there, and that you promise to be with us again physically in the near future. And so I pray that we all are able to cherish this promise in our hearts. In your name I pray, amen.